Yo, what is going on, everyone? Polartron here, back with another reaction video, and today I'm going to be checking out another film theory video. It's been a very long time, and this time it's one of my favorite things. I love Marvel stuff a lot, and we got Venom's secret weapon, Venom versus Carnage. This movie just came out a few days ago. I didn't get the chance to watch it, and I don't care if I get spoiled because I watched Venom 1 already, and I don't care. I really just don't care if I get spoiled. But yeah, this is Venom versus Carnage film theory. Let me know what you guys think. Don't forget to like the video, comment down below, and subscribe to never miss another video. With all that being said, let's begin right now. Is that Batman?
We are Venom.
There is only
Carnage! I am inevitable.
I am Iron Man.
I'm Batman.
Oh, this is gonna be a good one.
Hello, Internet. Welcome to Film Theory, where we are Team Theorist. Speaking of, if you want to meld into our symbiote that's now absorbed over 10 million subscribers, hit that red button down below. We'd be glad to have you merge into the Theorist family. Hey, you pressed the button. How you feel about that one, Venom?
Outstanding. Now, let's bite
I
off
just
the
love
heads off
Venom's
bottom of
voice.
the corner.
No, we will not bite off their heads. Okay, maybe just one. You know, it absolutely takes a village to make the kind of quality content that you've come to expect at the rate that you crave it, and that's why I can really appreciate solid teamwork. You know who else can appreciate solid teamwork? Eddie Brock and his way too close for comfort buddy, Venom. How's that for a seamless segue, ladies and gentlemen? If you think your roommates have been a little too close for comfort over the last year of lockdown, just imagine how much worse it would be if they actually lived inside of you, and then, you know, just randomly decided
That's
to
what
consume
basically
whole human
Venom
heads
is.
in one bite. On that note, can I just digress for a second here? Where are those heads going? Are they going into Eddie's stomach? Like, how is he digesting a full human skull? It's not like Venom has a physical structure that contains or digests these sorts of things. He's using Eddie's body as a host, so I don't know, probably a theory better suited for another day. Also, since I'm on this whole digression, might as well include this too. Did you know that he's eating the brains so that way he doesn't go insane? Yeah, it's another weird detail from the comics.
What?
If the symbiotes don't
Yo, I
eat
didn't know
human
that.
brains on a regular basis, they go insane. Either that or they gotta eat chocolates. Kind of gives new meaning to those Snickers commercials.
You're not you when you're hungry.
Anyway, after being bounced around the release calendar more times than Black Widow bouncing off of HVAC systems, it's finally time for Venom 2 to be released into theaters, with the big bad being none other than, well, Venom himself. He's not really a big hero here, let's be honest. Dude kind of sucks. But the even worse villain this
Carnage.
time around is serial killer Cletus Cassidy and his
Cassidy.
personal symbiote Carnage. It's not symbiote, right? I know they say that in the movie. Let me just double check.
Symbiote.
Yeah, symbiote. I don't know who says symbiote. So in true film
No,
theory
it's not
fashion, I wanted to
symbiote.
take a look at who should win this battle. Not who will win, because we all know the reality of franchise-based storytelling dictates that our title character will have to continue in some form, but rather, who should win? Like, if there really were two real-life symbiotes modeled after Venom and Carnage, and we stuck them in a fight against each other, who would come out on top? And this question is pretty darn interesting, since at first glance, the two symbiotes seem to be pretty much palette-swapped versions of each other. But when you look closer, there's actually a lot of differences in the way that they function, the ways that they interact with their hosts, and the way that they view the world, which would give an advantage to one over the other in a 1v1 brawl. Today we're looking at the comics, the movies, and the real worlds of science and psychology to determine, in a real-world battle of Carnage versus Venom, who would reign supreme. For those of you who skipped the Venom movie
Carnage
because it
is
wasn't
strong,
officially in
but
the
I'm not
MCU
sure about
yet,
Venom.
or weren't fans of comic books from the super edgy, totally rad 90s era, let's quickly go over the relevant
Oh, I
factors
watched
for our
that.
Venom Carnage battle today. Venom is truly two different entities sharing a body. First, we have the journalist Eddie Brock. He's a human, nothing extraordinary to say about him. Secondly, though, we have ourselves an alien symbiote that infects Eddie, bonding with his nervous system. This symbiote is what allows Brock to transform into the black behemoth known as Venom. On the other side, we have Carnage. Though we haven't seen too much of Carnage in the movies yet, the story in the comics goes that while breaking Eddie Brock out of prison, the Venom symbiote creates an asexual
Yeah, I remember that
offspring
one.
that ends up finding the serial killer Cletus Cassidy as its host. In the movie, it looks like Cletus might actually bite Eddie and get a piece of the symbiote that way.
I have tasted blood before, and that is not it.
The interesting piece here, though, is that rather than bonding with Cassidy's nervous system, this new symbiote instead bonds with Cletus's blood, thus creating the red-looking monster called Carnage. And you see, this subtle
the way it
difference
morphs
actually gives us our first major basis for comparison: a neural connection in Venom versus a sanguineous connection or blood connection with Carnage. Well, on paper that might seem like an arbitrary distinction, it actually ties directly into both of these symbiotes' potential
blood
strengths
connection
and
seems
weaknesses.
strong.
Venom being linked directly to Brock's nervous system gives him a solid scientific reason to have stronger, faster perception and reflexes, much akin to Peter Parker's spider sense. Venom's connections with the nervous system would also give him advanced control over the body, and therefore better precision in his movements. Remember, in a fight, strength isn't everything. Accuracy and control are gonna matter a lot, so Venom is actually working with a major advantage here as well. However, Venom's direct ties into the human nervous system are a massive double-edged sword, because it also comes with a huge set of disadvantages. As we've seen in both the comics and the movies, Venom is very weak to sound and sonic-based attacks.
Oh yeah, he is.
This originated as just a weakness concocted for a fictional character,
Vibration.
but a real-life symbiote like this would scientifically have a weakness to intense perceptual inputs. A boosted nervous system, like the one that Venom gives to Brock, would in fact result in sound being amplified, and any weaknesses that symbiotes naturally have to sonic activity would likely be boosted as well. Carnage uses Screech, it is super effective. This also opens up Venom to all kinds of nervous system-based weaknesses: rapid changes in temperature, bright flashing lights, overwhelmingly bad smells. These are all things that are unpleasant to normal humans and could ultimately cripple the heightened awareness of Venom. Let me be clear, while these things might not be all that effective in the comics, out in the real-world battle against a symbiote connected to your nerves, it's suddenly gonna matter a lot. Carnage, on the other hand, is gonna get away with a lot more here. Because he's connected to the blood, his weaknesses are much fewer and far between. Blood isn't gonna be weak to things like sound or flashing lights because blood has nothing to do with human perception. It's no weaker to sound than any other molecule in the body. And, well, that's just me running an analysis on what the real-world science would look like. This actually holds true in the comics, surprisingly enough. All the symbiotes start as weak to sonics to some extent. Not that sort of sonic. Carnage eventually loses that vulnerability. Now, admittedly, it has less to do with his blood connection and more to do with him being granted extra abilities through the powers of ancient magic. Whatever it is, I'm just here to say that the science actually supports his powers as seen in the comics. So if a blood connection protects Carnage from most of the things that would harm Venom, then what is he gonna be vulnerable to? Maybe heat? That's traditionally one of the other classic symbiote weaknesses in the comics.
Heat can be affected by anyone.
Definitely heat the blood up enough for it to boil and degrade, but neurons are gonna be just as susceptible to those high temperatures.
Yeah.
So Venom would be equally at risk. And again, in the comics, we see in the web of Venom that dark Carnage is no longer susceptible to fire. How about electricity? This is still Carnage's main weakness in the comics, and yeah, electricity would absolutely hurt red blood cells. But again, it would also affect Venom, considering that the neurons of Eddie's body literally run on electrical pulses. One of the only things that Carnage seems weak to that Venom wouldn't be is probably the least exciting thing possible: blood-based illnesses. Blood can be weak to itself, as is the case with proliferative blood disorders like leukemia or autoimmune neutropenia, where blood cells attack other blood cells. But for as much as blasting Carnage with radiation until he has cancer sounds like the sort of solution we'd come up with for a film theory on how to kill Carnage, I'm gonna venture a wild guess that it's not gonna be all that helpful in a battle against Venom. I mean, if the movie does go in that direction, maybe we'll just pretend that this was a prediction theory all along, but I'm not gonna be holding my breath on that one. More likely, this movie's gonna come down to a CGI slugfest in the dark with some kind of skybeam in the background. So Carnage, being blood-based rather than neuron-based, has fewer weaknesses. So then, how are his strengths? Well, he might not be as fast or reactive as Venom, but he will be stronger. Increased blood flow is associated with muscle growth because red blood cells deliver oxygen to working tissues. More oxygen means more work. That translates to stronger muscles and also more stamina. It also means that, unlike Venom, Carnage in real life should have the ability to regenerate. You see, with human neurons, what you see is kind of what you get.
So
if
that
something
means
gets damaged in
he's
the nervous
very
system,
powerful.
It's pretty much gone for good unless it gets actively
I don't think
repaired
Venom
or
is a winner.
replaced. Their lifespan is your lifespan. Blood cells, though, those things are a dime a dozen. Nearly 2 million red blood cells in the adult human body die every second. In fact, your body makes 3.8 million cells every second, and most of them are red blood cells. So an organism that attaches to the blood is going to be much more difficult to completely wipe out.
But what about white blood
constantly
cells?
Multiplying and regenerating himself. And ironically enough, all of this actually matches with Carnage's comic lore. Again, it is weird, the coincidence here. The comics come up with all these wacky reasons to explain the symbiote's powers. They're aliens, they've been affected with magic, they've been attached to Spider-Man's radioactive body at some point.
I remember that.
But in truth, all of it actually ties back to the real-world science in one way or another. We see in the comics that Carnage, unlike Venom, does have regenerative powers. He does tend to be depicted as stronger. He does have incredible stamina. Heck, even his comic ability to create weapons from his own body and launch them makes more sense for a character that's associated with blood. We've got a lot of extra blood cells to spare. Why not grab a few of them, form them into an axe, and launch them at your nearest web slinger? Venom wouldn't be able to do stuff like that because the cells he's working with are limited in number and highly fragile. Looking at just the bonding behavior, this one is a clear victory for Carnage, no question. From a physical standpoint, the blood bond has many more advantages and fewer weaknesses. But there's still one other angle that I want to pursue here, and that's the psychological component. And it all boils down to one line.
We are Venom.
We are Venom. The symbiote and Eddie are working together as two separate
Yeah.
entities within one
Teamwork.
body. Cletus Cassidy, on the other hand, always refers to himself as a singular entity. I am Carnage. Who then wins the psychological battle? One singular entity or two sharing the same body? Researchers in the psychology world use a lot of different models to predict human behavior, and one of the most popular currently is called the Big Five, or OCEAN model, an acronym for its 5 metrics: openness, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism. With advent of social media, these metrics have exploded into popular use, as data engineers design automated tests to extract OCEAN metrics from your social media data and predict your online activities. That is no joke, that is a real thing.
That's
These
an actual
metrics
thing?
actually serve as the
That's
basis
actually
for many of
real?
those terrifying algorithms that seem to know exactly what you're thinking and how to advertise directly to you. So yeah, there's an actual reason I'm bringing this up. Anyway, as you might expect, certain metrics correlate with certain kinds of success and also show your ability to work together. I want to focus specifically on the conscientiousness metric, which is often associated with success in different kinds of workplaces. On one end of the conscientiousness scale are the efficient and organized people, while on the other side sit the extravagant or careless people. And mind you, these aren't my terms, they are the official terms used in this model, and they're designed to be non-judgmental, though I would argue that the word careless really feels judgy to me. Anyway, in jobs that don't require a high level of technical knowledge, conscientiousness highly correlates with success. People who are organized, efficient, and goal-oriented have a much higher probability of success in these jobs than the extravagant or careless people.
Yeah.
Who tend to get bored,
That's actually
frustrated,
true.
overwhelmed, or distracted before the job's done. Cletus Cassidy is extravagant, to say the least. He's a violent serial killer, and not like the Dexter type who meticulously plans out his crime. One of the reasons the police didn't catch Cassidy until he had committed at least 11 murders, or 23 by his own count, was because his crimes were patternless. Cassidy doesn't kill for a political reason or some deep repressed traumatic reason. He killed because he wanted to. He didn't see the point in life. Totally random. Carnage, his symbiote, is also extravagant. Actually,
That's
it's
scary.
probably better to say that he doesn't come packaged with a solid identity. As we hear in the Spider-Man cartoon,
I get to be like Brock? Similar, but different. Once you bond, it will reflect your hatred for humanity, your lust for destruction.
contrast
So he
Cletus
lo-
with
he
Eddie,
loves
who is
killing
much more
people.
organized. Though he's definitely more in the middle of the conscientiousness spectrum, we see that Eddie is more than capable of organizing investigations into powerful people. He's goal-driven. He stops at literally nothing to get his questions to Carlton Drake at the beginning of the first film, resulting in his loss of a highly skilled job. Eddie has much more perseverance when presented with a challenge. And that challenge isn't just Carnage, it's also Venom, who is definitely more on the careless and extravagant end of the conscientiousness spectrum. 2018's Venom was all about Eddie Brock and his symbiote learning to deal with each other. Eddie feels out of control at first and fights against the symbiote's influence. It's only when Eddie voluntarily lets the symbiote back into his body towards the end of the movie that Venom truly achieves his full power. The extremely powerful but chaotic Venom succeeds in part thanks to Eddie Brock's psychological profile reining him in, being more strategic and focusing Venom's incredible power. So while they're certainly operating as separate individuals sharing one body, their strengths and weaknesses ultimately balance each other out, as opposed to the chaotic, extravagant Cletus being made more extreme by the equally chaotic symbiote. What's more, Eddie also gets the advantage of two brains, because you know what they say, two heads are better than one. And as it turns out, that is scientifically proven, as the report Optimally Interacting Minds shows. I'm not really going to do a deep dive into it here because it's not really that exciting, but the TLDR is that, yeah, two people communicating with each other and working together does ultimately lead to better results than one person working alone.
That's absolutely
so for
right.
Eddie and Venom, who have had some time together to work things out, communicating communication is gonna come as second nature. So Venom's real advantage over Carnage isn't physical, it's actually psychological. Carnage has nearly all of Eddie's strengths beat, and his weaknesses are much less likely to come into play than Eddie's are. But Eddie has the personality for the job, and the ability to work with his teammate to achieve something greater than Carnage can achieve on his own. In the most ironic twist of all, a battle between two super powerful blobs of alien goo is ultimately decided by the puny humans that are wearing the suits. But hey, that's just a theory.
A film theory.
And cut.
Okay, well, that is it for Film Theory, Venom's Secret Weapon. That was just a great video. I learned a lot about this. And again, Carnage has a lot of different powers, and he beats Venom in almost everything. But Venom being a person that can... He works with his symbiote, which makes him very powerful. So yeah, I think Venom is gonna win. Yeah, Venom would win in any fight because he's stronger. He has better teamwork and collaboration amongst himself. And yeah, that is it for the film theory. Let me know what you guys think. Don't forget to like the video, comment down below, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.